minimum age of marriage of whatever kind. It is provided as a right of every child to refuse to marry. The person may be 18 years and therefore no longer a child under Ghanaian law. That is customary marriage, is Christian marriage, or is Mohammedan marriage. So if you're under 21 years, if you're not a widow or a widower, and you want to marry, in this video, we are clarifying what the law says about the minimum age of marriage in Ghana and the matters arising. I am Godwin Selassie Dapo, and this is Make It Legal. Make it legal. You all probably might have heard in the news about the God priest who we are all informed or have read that they perform some ceremony that some people say is a marriage between a child and a 63-year-old priest. And some say, oh, it was not marriage, it was just a ceremonial event, it was just a betrothal of a sort, and all kinds of issues were being discussed. I want to clarify a few things to you to understand what the law says as far as marriage is concerned, and at what age exactly a person qualifies to enter into marriage, and some few issues related to it. So I'll discuss all of that with you in this video. Let's get straight into it now. Now, first of all, you need to understand that there's a law in this country, the Children's Act of 1998. That law is the law that provides for a lot of things pertaining to children. And of course, there are other laws that also provide some information about children as well. But principally in Ghana, the Children's Act of 1998 at 560 is the main legislation or law that provides for a lot of things concerning children. And one of the key things it specifies in that particular law is the minimum age of marriage in Ghana. So what is the minimum age of marriage in Ghana? The law says in section 14 of that law, the Children's Act, that the minimum age of marriage of whatever kind is 18 years. What it means is that no matter the type of marriage you are about to contract, whether it's customary marriage, it's Christian marriage, or it's Mohammedan marriage, no matter the kind of marriage, whether it's being performed under the fancy customary law or the aware customary law or the God customary law, the people involved must be at least 18 years. It means that they must be 18 years or above. If you see a party going into marriage and that party is less than 18 years, then it means that that marriage is being contracted contrary to this law. That is the first thing I want you to note. The second thing I need you to note, which is connected to this subject, is the issue of compulsion of marriage. Again, there is another law we have in Ghana called the Criminal and Other Offences Act of 1960, which is popularly known as Act 29. That law also creates an offense which we call compulsion of marriage, which is to say that you cannot force a person to enter into a marriage that he or she is not willing to. Or if people are going into marriage, then both of them should voluntarily enter into that marriage. If you compel a person to marry, maybe you are the parent of the child or the parent of the person who desires to marry, and you sort of compel them to enter into that marriage without they themselves willingly accepting to marry, you are guilty of an offense and you can go to prison for at most 3 years. The law is stated in section 109 of the Act 29 that I spoke about. It says that a person who by duress causes another person to marry against that other person's will commits a misdemeanor. A misdemeanor is an offense of which you can be punished up to 3 years in prison. So if you, by some sort of pressure or undue influence or duress, causes another person to enter into marriage with someone else without his will or without his own acceptance of that marriage, then you are guilty of that offense. That's one thing you need to know. So if the person is a child or the person is not yet an adult, and you compel the person to get into the marriage as because you are the parent or the father or the mother, you are committing a criminal offense. That is what you need to know first of all. Now, the third thing you need to note also is that in Ghana, again, in the Children's Act of 1998, it is provided as a right of every child to refuse to marry or to be given for marriage. So clearly, section 41 in that law states that a person shall not force a child to be betrothed or to be subject of a dowry transaction or to be married. So you cannot be doing some sort of payment of dowry to some family on behalf of a child, or because the child will be given out when a dowry is received. No, you cannot receive certain things from another man's family because that man wants to marry a lady you have who is not yet 18 years or above. Very important. So a child has the right to refuse to be given in marriage or to be betrothed or to be the subject of a dowry transaction. You want to receive some cattle from the man's family as the mother of the child because you are hoping or looking forward to give the child in marriage when she's still a child. No, the law does not permit it. Then they have every right as a child under the law to refuse to be given in marriage or to be the subject of a dowry transaction. That is what the law says. Again, what you need to note is that even though a person may be 18 years and therefore no longer a child under Ghanaian law, and that person is desiring to marry, the law is that the person is not yet 21 years. If he or she wants to marry, then they must produce a written consent from his father or her mother or from their guardian if they don't have mother or father alive. That shows that they, the guardian or the parent, have consented to the lady or the gentleman who is just below 21 years getting married. So if you're under 21 years, if you're not a widow or a widower and you want to marry, you're supposed to have a written consent of your guardian or your parent or your mom or father before that marriage can be permitted to be celebrated. That is what the law says. So if you know all of these laws, you can yourself examine some of the things we see people do in the interest of cultural and social beliefs among certain sets of people. They may be the gangs or the airways or the fancies. They may hold certain beliefs that certain children must be married to certain chiefs at the very tender age when they are virgins, and that is acceptable according to the culture. But the culture does not define the law. The law is what sets the principles that the cultural values must follow. That is how it is. So when we codify certain cultural values and we codify certain principles of societal norms, they are to regulate our cultural behaviors. So you cannot ask a child who is not yet 18 years or who is obviously a child to get married. You cannot do that. And you cannot also engage in dowry transactions in respect of that child. All of these things are criminal and they are prohibited under Ghanaian law. I think it's important that you know these things so that you don't fall victim to them as a child, or you don't allow your children to fall victim to them, or you don't participate in being the subject of sponsoring the marriage of a child who is not yet 18 years or who is 18 or 21 but has not gotten a written consent from the parent or the guardian to do so. If you like this video, I want you to click on the like button to like it, and also subscribe to the channel by clicking on the subscription button, and we'll be glad to have you share this video across board. Let's also get to know what you think about the video. Share it with your comments in the comment section, and see you in the next video. I am Godwin Selassie Dakbo, and this is Make It Legal.
Make it legal.